Reliance Industries currently generates roughly 2 crore rupee in revenue every 60 seconds, but its founder's journey began as a clerk at a gas station. In the early 1950s, a teenage Dhirubhai Ambani stood for hours in the blistering Aden sun, pumping petrol into vehicles for a British trading firm. While filling tanks, he noticed a massive discrepancy in the local currency, the Yemeni rial. He calculated that the face value of a single rial coin was roughly 10 British pounds, but the physical silver content of that same coin was worth 12 pounds on the open market. Ambani began placing bulk orders for rials with local money changers, melting the coins down into raw silver ingots and selling them to dealers in London. Each coin returned a direct 2-pound profit, an operation that continued until the silver coins literally began to vanish from circulation. By age 20, Ambani had already moved beyond simply participating in a market to profiting from its underlying physical mechanics. In 1958, he returned to India and opened a trading office in a 350-square-foot room in Bombay. He immediately identified a supply crisis. Indian textile mills were desperate for synthetic threads like nylon and polyester, but strict government import limits meant domestic production met barely 20% of the demand. To manage this, the government issued rep licenses. These granted textile exporters the right to import 20 rupees worth of artificial thread for every 100 rupees they sent abroad. Ambani realized that many exporters had no use for these licenses, so he began buying them up at a premium. By consolidating these scattered rights, he gained control over a vast portion of India's synthetic thread imports. This effectively gave him a monopoly on the industry's raw materials, but it also left him dependent on foreign manufacturers. To remove that risk, he had to start building his own supply chain from the ground up. Ambani eventually split from his conservative business partner to take a massive risk, moving from trading thread to manufacturing it. He built a factory in Naroda and launched The Mall, a textile brand he supported with aggressive, high-end advertising and a nationwide franchise network. To fund this expansion without relying on the elite banks that favored established dynasties, Ambani turned to a source of capital his rivals ignored. In 1977, he took Reliance public. By marketing shares directly to the Indian middle class at just 10 rupees each, he bypassed traditional financiers and created a massive, loyal base of small investors. By owning the factory and the direct source of funding, he had successfully cut out the traditional industry gatekeepers. This new financial power was tested in 1982 when a powerful bear cartel in Kolkata attempted to crash Reliance's stock. The cartel used a short-selling attack, borrowing shares and dumping them onto the market at 131 rupees. Their goal was to trigger a panic, drive the price down, and then buy the shares back at a massive discount. But the price didn't drop. A group of mysterious buyers absorbed every share the bears sold, pushing the price up to 201 rupees. The cartel was trapped. They were forced to buy back shares at a staggering loss to fulfill their contracts, a move that ruined many of the short sellers. The victory signaled that Ambani's empire was now structurally insulated from institutional attacks. Despite his success in textiles, Ambani was still buying his polyester thread from outside suppliers, leaving Reliance vulnerable to price hikes. He began a process of backward integration, the strategy of systematically acquiring your own suppliers to control the entire production process. He built the Padalganga plant to manufacture polyester thread in-house, significantly reducing his production costs. This expansion triggered a corporate war with rivals like Nusli Wadia of Bombay Dyeing. Ambani had to fight through media smear campaigns and bureaucratic delays in the license raj, where his competitors allegedly used political influence to stall his permits. The pressure was relentless. After a devastating factory flood and a 1986 stroke that partially paralyzed Dhirubhai, his son Mukesh took over the day-to-day push to move even further down the supply chain. Reliance continued moving backward, building facilities to produce the specific petrochemicals needed to make their own polyester. By the 1990s, the only remaining dependency was the raw material for those chemicals, crude oil. To finish the chain, Ambani reached the ultimate source. In 1993, he launched the $6 billion Jamnagar refinery. It was built to process 25% of India's total crude oil, turning raw petroleum into the chemicals his factories required. The loop was closed. The refinery supplied the chemical plant, The chemical plant supplied the thread factory, and the thread factory supplied the stores. Reliance had become a self-sustaining ecosystem, independent of the external suppliers that governed the rest of the industry. Dhirubhai Ambani died in 2002, having spent 50 years transforming himself from a pebble-plot into the architect of India's largest private company. In an industry defined by supply chain shocks and unreliable partners, Ambani replaced external dependency with internal infrastructure. Owning every link from the oil well to the retail shelf gave Reliance a degree of insulation that allowed it to survive market shifts that broke its competitors.